It's 1989. The world is in chaos. The US invades Panama, the Berlin Wall comes down. But more importantly, Star Wars movies are but a distant memory. And as far as anyone knew, the IP was all but dead. But if you were a fan, all was not lost. At the same time, West End Games were on a bit of a roll. They'd released this and this in 1987, and then this in 1988. Then in 1989 they dropped this, The Battle for Endor. There would be one more, but maybe we'll look at that another time. If you're vaguely familiar with the Battle of Endor, you'll know it's difficult, scratch that, impossible, to talk about it without comparison with the earlier Assault on Hoth. For a start, it uses the same action event game mechanic, which it seems West End Games did have further plans for, but didn't have enough round to it. Everything else will be pretty familiar. A paper map covered in hexes, cardboard stand-ups of the Imperial and Rebel forces, a small handful of counters that require 20/20 vision and some kind of magnification to read, the funky Vaders and Sabres dice plus a couple of D6s. The most noticeable difference is that it's now solitaire. You play the rebels, who have to breach the bunker entrance and destroy the facility protecting the second Death Star, whilst the game plays the Empire trying to stop you. The rebels are up against the clock too, as they must do their thing before the 5 cruiser destroyed cards get drawn from the event deck. The game truncates the Battle of the Forest Moon by kicking things off with the heroes, Leia, Han and Chewie, already at the bunker entrance in the middle of the map. The Imperial forces and the Ewoks have their own setup areas in 2 concentric circles. Poor old C-3PO and R2-D2 join the Ewoks. The impression you get is that unlike Assault on Hoth, both sides are right on top of each other, and you could be forgiven for thinking it might all be over in about 5 minutes. To prevent this from happening, unlike in the movie Return of the Jedi, the Empire uses something called tactics. These can and will change during the game. At first they pick on the Ewoks, giving the heroes some space. But once the right event cards show up or the bunker is breached, the heroes become the main target. Also, in a departure from the movie, the Empire puts up a pretty good fight. AT-STs and speeder bikes can be particularly dangerous, and even stormtroopers can make short work of the Ewoks, and as it happens, the heroes too. To offset this, the heroes and Ewok leaders have a combined firepower skill that you will absolutely need to use. Whilst Hoth never asks you to make deep tactical decisions, or any, to be fair, the part game, part story generator mechanic works well, and it turns out is better with 2 players than it is with 1. With a scripted antagonist, you are even more dependent on a favourable card shuffle, and one card in particular. Once per turn, the hero's move, fire or breach card is turned over, and with the right dice roll, you get 1 step closer to your objective. It turns into a waiting game for it to reappear. If Hoth is a part game, part revisionist story generator, because Endor is solitaire, there's even less game and more story generator. But I need to be clear, this is not a bad thing. However, it is difficult to ignore the fact that Battle of Endor is now 35 years old and for the vast majority of gamers will have niche appeal. And maybe even less than that. Even if you're a fan of the original trilogy with a penchant for late 80s board games, have a thing about Star Wars titles from West End Games, can look past the limited replayability, low-rent components and Ewoks, you'll still probably give it a pass. If, like me, and you still have a copy, it's likely down to a mixture of nostalgia, being a fan of the original trilogy, having a thing about West End Games' Star Wars titles, and can look past the very limited replayability and low-rent components. Still can't get past the Ewoks, though.